or go to the morgue. One of the two things were going to happen. And my brother introduced me to one man that he thought could help me. And his name was Alan Brown. And I took the train from Montreal, Canada, where I was living at the time, to Toronto. At the time, I was working at a shipping department for Philips Electronics, making $1.65 an hour. And I hated what I did. And so to make some extra money, I was doing other activities, shall we say, that weren't legal. And yes, I did inhale. So I was getting into a lot of trouble. And my brother said, listen, this guy is successful in real estate. He's an investor. He owns a real estate company. He really understands a lot about mindset, and maybe he can help you. I took the train from Montreal to Toronto and met this man for lunch. And let me ask you a question before I tell you a story. Do you think that with one question and one answer, your life can change? Do you think that's possible? Well, for those of you that are saying yes, I'm going to agree with you and I'll share with you why. For those of you saying no, I'll tell you why you may want to reconsider that. And for those of you that are unsure, I'll show you an example. When I sat with Mr. Brown at lunch, he asked me what were my goals. And just imagine, I'm 59 now. I was 19 then, 40 years ago. All right. So many of you aren't, obviously my age, but 40 years ago, I said I wanted to get a car. I wanted to move out of my parents' house. And I wanted to get a job that made more than $1.65 an hour. And he said, well, that's all great. He said, but do you have any other big goals and dreams? And I said, well, no, not really. So he said to me, he said, here's what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to take this document. He gave me a document, and it was the 1980 goal setting guide. And on this goal setting guide, the first question was, at what age do you want to retire? And I'm sitting there at 19 going, retire? I want a freaking job. Retire? I couldn't think of retirement. My father wasn't even retired. Second question, how much net worth do you want to have when you retire? So I looked at Mr. Brown and I said, Mr. Brown, excuse me, what's net worth? I had no idea what net worth was. Third question, how much income do you want to earn in 1980? Fourth question, what kind of lifestyle do you want? Fifth question, who do you want to help? Sixth question, what kind of car do you want, home you want, etc. So basically asked a bunch of questions. And he said, do the very best you can to build this vision of what you would like. So I wrote down, I want to retire at age 45 with $3 million net worth. I want to make $100,000. I want to help my parents, with their home and payment, all the stuff that many of us would probably dream about. And so he looks at the document. He said, I'm going to ask you one question, and the answer to this question will determine whether you achieve all of these goals this year and in your future. So I said, one question is going to determine whether I achieve all of these things that are coming out of my imagination? And he goes, yeah. So he looks at me, he leans in, and he goes, John, are you interested in achieving all of these things, or are you committed? I said, am I interested? Am I committed? I'm like scratching my head. And I said to him, I said, Mr. Brown, what's the difference? And he said, son, if you're interested, you'll do what's easy and convenient. If you're interested, you're going to come up with stories and reasons and excuses why you can't, why it's hard, why you don't have the knowledge, why you don't have the skills. You'll talk about your past, your parents, the fact that you went to grade 11 in high school and you didn't graduate. You'll talk about all the reasons why you can't or won't. He said, but if you're committed, you will upgrade your knowledge. You will upgrade your skills. You will alter your beliefs. You will become the man capable of achieving all those goals, no matter what. So, are you interested or are you committed? And so I was like, I'm committed. And in that second, he reached out his hand and he said, in that case, I will be your mentor. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's awesome. What's a mentor? And he went on to share with me that it's somebody that guides you, that helps you, that teaches you, that tries to make the path a little bit easier for you through their knowledge, their skills, their direction, their awareness, their connections, and all that stuff. And so in that moment, I said I was committed. I found a mentor who had achieved everything I want to achieve and then some. And he went on to teach me many, many things over the course of about a year and a half when I worked under his tutelage. But the question was what set off my career from struggling, in trouble, on my way to the jail or the morgue, to making $35,000 my first year at 19 years old. And then by following a lot of what I will share with you today, I went on to make $151,000 back in 1981. And I built my business, my career on some of the things that I will share with you. But before we get into that, I'm going to ask you a question. Are you committed to achieving the goals you have for this year in your life? Or are you interested? So if you're committed, just type in the chat, I'm committed. Because being committed means you cut off from any other possibility and you do whatever it takes ethically and professionally to become the person capable of achieving your goals and dreams. Now, to preface all of this, I have a fundamental question for you. It's January, the 7th, all right, 2021, 108 billion humans have walked on Earth before you and I have, 108 billion. Would you agree that in 2021, January, all of the how-to build your business already exists? All of the how-to master your mindset and emotions already exists? All of the how-to be healthier, happier, wealthier, to get out of debt, to make more money, to grow your business, to do whatever you want. All of the how-to that you and I need already exists. Do you agree with that statement? That means that your issue, challenge, or problem is not the lack of how-to, because it exists. So there must be something else in addition to maybe lacking knowledge and skills. That's where I come in. Does that sound like a good idea? Give me a thumbs up if you're muted, because that's really where I like to play, is to help you understand what's really possibly holding you back and then what to do about it. So let me just get my thing in place here. And would you agree with this statement that mindset is what separates the best from the rest? I think just about everybody on the planet does, right? Mindset. But what is mindset? And the real question is there a science to achieving goals versus a science to setting goals? Every one of us has goals, whether we have them written down or not, but is there a science to achieving goals? And the answer is absolutely. And so let me share with you some stuff that you may or may not know, but I'd like you for just a moment to think about something you already own, okay? You own a brain, right? You have one. If you're watching this and you can hear me and you're on your computer, you own a brain. So if you think about what is this thing that you own, it has been evolving for over 2 million years. And it has a hierarchy, a way of how it operates. Now, if I gave you $100 billion computer and you didn't know how to use it, where's the problem? The computer or the operator? So I'm going to give you, some operating instructions on how to use your brain better. So everything that's happening, that's coming in through your eyes or through your ears or your thoughts, are all based around the hierarchy of safety and survival first. So if there's anything that you want to do that has the potential of killing you, okay, your brain's going to go, hold on a second there. I don't want to do that. If there's anything that could cause you pain or discomfort, whether it's real or imagined, your brain says, put on the brakes. Don't do that. If you understand point 1 and 2, and you also understand how your brain works, It does both of those two things while conserving as much energy as possible. And then it focuses on, how do I gain pleasure and reward? So the hierarchy of how our brain makes decisions of what I do or don't do, whether I move forward or don't move forward, whether I take the risk or I don't, is based on this software operating millions of years of evolution to make sure you're safe and you survive, to avoid pain and discomfort, to conserve energy, and then gain pleasure when it feels 1, 2, and 3 are done. Does that make sense so far? So this is just a little bit about how it works. And there are 5 core networks that are working together. So right now I'm in San Diego. I don't know where all of you are, but I know there's people from all over the world. So our computer and the internet's connecting us through these networks and turning on or off circuits so that we can do all our stuff together. Well, our brain works the exact same way. We have networks and circuits. So we have a thinking network, we have an imagination network, a motivational network, an emotional network, and a social network that gets turned on or off. Simple so far? I'm just giving you some of the tools to understand. So when we talk about mindset, your mindset is about your attitude and focus, your beliefs, which are conscious and subconscious, your self-talk, right? Your self-image and your identity, your stories that you tell yourself, your fears. Now, you may not know this, but there are 50 different types of fears that may hold you and I back and causes certain networks and circuits to shut down motivation and behavior. One of the big ones, can anybody guess what the number one fear is? Fear of failure. You know what another one that's really tied close to fear of failure? Fear of disappointing yourself or loved ones again. You know what another one is? Fear of being embarrassed, ashamed, ridiculed, or judged. Now remember the hierarchy of the brain. Number 1, safety and survival, but number 2 is avoidance of pain. So if you and I want to achieve a goal, but there is a possibility that we might be embarrassed, we might disappoint ourselves, we might fail, we might lose money, time, energy, a friend. What do you think is happening in your brain automatically as far as these circuits turning on or off? Do you think that's like motivating? Let's go, let me go get embarrassed? No freaking way, unless you understand how to manage the emotion called fear, right? So then your habits. What percentage of your behaviors do you think are habitual? Thought behaviors, emotional behaviors, physical behaviors, actions you take or actions you don't. 97 to 98, 99% of our day-to-day, week by week, month by month behaviors are based on our habits. Now, is it possible that you have some constructive habits and some negative ones or destructive ones or disempowering ones? Of course. When our brain develops habits, it does that because of the third part of what our brain does, what it does, conservation of energy. So any thought, emotion, behavior, and result that we repeat, our brain just says, let me make this automatic to conserve energy. Does that make sense so far? So we're talking about mastering your mindset and emotions. You have to understand how your brain and why your brain does what it does. Then we have your expectations. So what your expectations are is based on not what you want, but what you've been conditioned to expect. Yours and my brain is consistently predicting in advance the expectations of the past. So we are projecting based on our expectations. We are filtering out information, strategies, tactics, tools, resources, and people based on our mental and emotional models that set up the expectations. And then we develop excuses, reasons, and stories to make our expectations the reality. Does that make sense so far? So I'm going to share with you what's going on, but I'm also going to share with you what to do. So I want you to think about this. You may or may not see this, but over my right shoulder is Einstein. Left shoulder is Frankenstein's monster. It's not Frankenstein, but Frankenstein's monster. And we have these two parts of our brain that actually are both your friend, your best friends. But if you don't understand how Einstein works and what Einstein's supposed to do, and you don't understand how Frankenstein works and what he's supposed to do, then you are a victim of circumstance. And I want to end that today. So to activate your Einstein, the genius part of your brain, it's called the left prefrontal cortex, which is probably too much information for today. But the attention that you give, the intentions that you give, is what actually draws the blood to that part of the brain. So when you focus on creating a vision, even when you don't know how to achieve it, when you set goals, even when you don't know how to achieve them, and you learn how to manage your emotions, which are subconscious triggers, and you focus on how can I achieve these goals? How will I achieve these goals? And you activate another part of the brain that Einstein's connected to. It's called the limbic system, the emotional part of your brain of why I must achieve these goals. This is part one of the goal achieving process. We activate Einstein by focusing on vision, goals, and why. And when we activate Einstein, now we're making conscious choices. That gives us greater certainty. It increases the motivation, which means we're activating another circuit called the ventral tegmental area of the brain, or the nucleus accumbens and insula, which releases the dopamine, right? The feel-good neurochemical that's tied to our behavioral center that actually cause us to take inspired action. And this causes a perceptual shift of us feeling empowered, and we take inspired action, and that causes powerful new habits. Are we good so far? And I'm going to give you some mechanics of what's going on, why you may achieve your goals. So basically, we want to start the process. This is part one. You start creating a vision, not based on what you can achieve or know how to achieve, or goals that you can or know how to achieve. You set a vision and goals based on what you want to achieve. And since we already established that the how to achieve just about every goal you and I want already exists, then we find out how. But the how doesn't matter unless our why is bigger than the stories, the reasons, the excuses, the limiting beliefs, the stuff that holds us back. So you have to dig a little bit deeper to ask yourself what I suggested before is, why must I achieve that vision? Why must I achieve those goals? Because when you have a brain that is running the habit loop over and over and over again to create the same results, you have to incentivize it to let go of all of the obstacles, stories, reasons, and excuses. And if you don't do this, you're actually not using a core part of your brain called the limbic system circuit that actually is tied to your motivational center or your fear center. So that's part one. And when you focus on the vision, the goals, and the why, and I'm going to show you how to prime your brain every day to do this, then we can actually see blood flow changing locations in your brain. And you've heard the saying that goes, energy flows to where attention goes. Energy flow, that energy is your blood flow. So when we focus on our vision, our goals, and our why, now we are putting the blood flow into the right part of our brain that's going to activate the motivational circuit. And just so you know, the motivational circuit is connected to the motor circuit, right? Think about a car. Spark plug, right? Ignites the ignition, gas, brake. There are systems in your car, right? That you can stop, you can go. There's systems in your brain that cause you to stop or go. So which system do you think we need to activate and to keep going if we want to achieve our goals? Motivational circuit is the motive for action circuit. Motivation, motive for action. So I have to make my motive for action bigger than my motive for inaction. My motive for inaction is safety and survival. My motive for inaction is avoidance of pain or discomfort. We have a reward circuit, right? And we have a pain circuit. So we want to keep the motivational circuit active when our brain is thinking something may cause us pain or discomfort. Are you good following me so far? Now, probably going deeper than you've ever seen the understanding of what's happening that's causing you to take action or not, achieve your goals or not, but that's the work that I do. So why is it not enough to have a vision, goals, and a big why? Like, why is it not enough? Because if it was enough, many of you would already achieve your goals. You have a big why. I want to live a nice lifestyle. I want to give money to charity. I want to take care of my family, my kids, my brother, my sister, my parents. I want to make a difference in the world. That's a big why. Why is that not enough? Can anybody guess why that's not enough? And I'll share the answer with you as you guess, because there's only 4 things that are going to get in your way. And they happen to be in different parts of your brain that triggers these circuits. So number 1, imagine you have a vision and goals for the lifestyle you want, for the income you want, for the charity you want to do, for whatever it is. You have a goal that you want to achieve, or 2 or 3 or 4. But imagine that you choose that goal using your Einstein brain, which is the executive director, the part of your brain that has an imagination, the part of your brain that can say yes or no to this or that. I want this, I want that. I don't like this, I don't like that. That's the Einstein part of the brain. But what if over the years, 10 years, 12 years, 50 years, however old you are, there's a hidden part of you that doesn't feel like you're worthy of the vision or the goal that you want? Now, what do you think is going to be happening in this organism that is nothing more than 100 billion brain cells firing off electrical activity and chemicals if your self-image, self-worth, or self-esteem is lower than the vision, goals, dreams that you have? If you secretly or knowingly don't feel that you deserve it, what do you think will happen to behavior? Are you going to say, let's go anyway? No way. So we have to make sure that we align, create, develop a new self-image to match the vision, goals that we have. Does that make sense? I'll show you how to do that, so don't worry. What if you have a really good self-image, but you have limiting beliefs? I'm too young, I'm too old, I'm not skilled enough, I'm black, I'm white, I'm Asian, I'm this, I'm that, whatever the limiting belief is. If we have limiting beliefs, do limiting beliefs drive behaviors? Of course they do. Any limiting belief that we have limits us not only in what we do, but it actually creates filters so that we don't see anything that doesn't match the limiting belief for ourselves. We delete and distort reality based on our internal map of reality, of which your self-image and your beliefs, constructive, destructive, empowering, disempowering patterns are in our brain. Now, were you born with a self-image? No or no? Were you born with any limiting beliefs? No or no? I'm only going to give you a no or no answer. All right. Were you born with any emotions or fears or self-doubt or uncertainty, which is the third thing? No or no is the answer. So what does that mean from a neuroscience or neuropsychology perspective? It means that the 100 billion brain cells that we had that created patterns or connections that got reinforced and became automatic, that we call our self-image, that we call limiting beliefs, that we call emotions, they were learned, right? So we became conditioned based on our children, based on being children, based on our parents, based on our school, based on our experiences. And then if we don't have the knowledge and skills that we need to achieve the goal, do you think that might set up a feeling of uncertainty? Do you think that might set up a feeling of fear of failure? Do you think that might set up a feeling of disappointing myself again and self-doubt? So let me ask you a question. If we could upgrade our knowledge and skills to match the vision and goals we have, if we could develop beliefs that were empowering us instead of disempowering us, if we could augment our self-image to match the vision and goals, and if we could manage our emotions, which are triggered subconsciously, that release neurochemicals in our bloodstream that cause us to feel something, if we could do this, do you think goal achieving would be easier? Not easy, easier. Not stressless, but less stress. Do you think that's possible? And is it true, and this is a yes or yes answer, that it's all happening in something you already own? Your brain. It's all happening here. So your mental construct, your map of reality is actually what's driving perspective, paradigm, emotions, and behavior. So if you want to achieve more, you must become more aware. You must become better skilled. Just like you become a better driver with practice, you become a better driver of your own life through what I'll show you in just a moment called inner size. So when we have any one of these four things that are holding us back, we can actually see in the brain neural dissonance or chaos. And we see that the Einstein part of the brain basically deactivates the motor cortex, behavioral part of the brain, deactivates that motivation, and we increase right frontal activity, which means our inner Frankenstein is taken over. And our inner Frankenstein is the part of our brain that is governed for that survival and safety and avoidance of pain or discomfort. If any one of those four things are in play, yours and my brain activates what I call as the what if negative frame. What if I fail? What if I'm embarrassed? What if I'm ridiculed? What if I lose money? What if it doesn't work? What if I'm disappointed? What if negative? Now, in this what if negative, and this is happening, by the way, in billions of seconds, we have these circuits, like computers work in billions of seconds, networks work in billions of seconds. The greatest biocomputer and organism in the whole universe is between your two ears. We can actually see what's happening in our brains between the motivational center, the stress center, the fear center, the anxiety center, the panic center in our brain, the sympathetic nervous system, right? Think about, you have a brain, right? Brain stem, emotional center, logical center, imagination center, etc. But with that, there is a nervous system, sympathetic, parasympathetic, reactive, responsive, calm or stressed. Whose brain is it? Whose emotions are they? Yours. So when we're talking about goal achieving, we have to understand the system and we have to learn how to manage it better. Because when Frankenstein's activated, that's what causes anxiety. Anxiety is an effect. Do you know what stress is? Let me give you the definition of stress, the best definition anytime, anywhere, ever heard. When demand exceeds capacity. If the financial demand exceeds your capacity, boom, stress is activated. If knowledge and skills required for the job exceeds the capacity you have, boom, anxiety and stress is activated, fear is activated. If communication skills needed exceed communication skills required, boom, stress, anxiety. If your sales skills required are greater than what you have, stress, anxiety, fear, panic is activated. Does this make sense so far? And when this center of our brain is activated, we lose motive for action. We procrastinate. We self-sabotage, not because we want to, because we don't know how to manage these states and emotions. And this is what triggers fear. This is what causes us to feel like we're out of control. This is what causes us to hyper focus on the negative, because the neurochemistry is flowing in our blood and we think about what we feel, we feel what we think about, and we keep reinforcing the very pattern that doesn't help us achieve our goals. And that gives us these disempowering feelings and a feeling of powerlessness if we don't break the pattern. And that leads to destructive behaviors that then become our habits. Are you glad you're here today? So I like to focus on cause versus effect. Cause versus effect. If you don't like the effect, the results in your health, wealth, relationship, career, business, money, debt, whatever the case is, don't focus on that. Focus on what's causing the behavior or lack thereof. So let's just divert for just a moment. Let me just make sure I have a time check. I want to make sure that I have enough time, John, to do this. And I like to go deeper rather than, surface stuff.
Yeah, so, no, we're fine, John. Whatever is good for you, we're fine.
Okay, great. So would you agree that we have emotions, feelings, and sensations? Most people don't know the difference between emotions, feelings, and sensations. So emotions that you didn't have when you were born, you had these sensations based on external environment, okay? But emotions are all activated by your subconscious mind. So the meaning that you learned how to give things trigger these automatic circuits that cause conscious feelings and sensations in the body. So when we're talking about the emotions that we have based on all of the latest neuroscience and neuropsychology research, there are 6 core emotions. There are more, but the 6 core emotions are happiness, sadness, fear, anger, surprise, and disgust. Now I'll show you what to do with this in a moment, because the emotion of fear is for fight, flight, or freeze, right? If survival's on the line, if we want to avoid pain or discomfort, then the fear center activates. The emotion of anger is either for a release or for courage, in case we need to fight a saber-toothed tiger, in case we need to lash out at somebody, okay, because we got pent-up anger, right? Disgust is a withdrawal emotion. Surprise is curiosity, which is one of our greatest attributes. That's the Einstein brain. And then we have sadness, either for eliciting soothing comfort or for withdrawal, right? Because we can be happy, okay, which is different, but sadness, okay, is something we can do inwards or to gain behavior and emotion that we want. So these are the 6 emotional reactions that are triggered in your subconscious mind based on cues. Stimulus, response, right? And so when we are focusing on emotions, the feelings that they produce are one of these 8. So the emotions produce these feelings, right? And sadness is both. But if we feel that there's possible shame that's going to happen as a result of this, it's a withdrawal feeling. Helplessness, anger, embarrassment, disappointment, frustration. Now, what do most people do when they have feelings that they don't like? They move away, right, Maria? Thank you. I saw you doing that. So they move away. It's a withdrawal emotion. And when they have feelings that feels good, they move towards. Now, here's a question for you. What do we do more of? Do we do more to avoid pain and discomfort and feelings we don't like, or do we do more to gain pleasure? We do more to avoid pain and discomfort than we do to gain pleasure, right? So here's what happens. We avoid feelings that are unpleasant because we are unconsciously or consciously afraid that they will start and never stop. We are afraid that they're going to be too intense and overwhelm us. We feel out of control because it's an unpleasant sensation in our body. And they cause us stress and anxiety that can lead to panic, and it's a total out of control feeling. And what happens is, in the absence of the tools and skills to manage them, we want to suppress them, hide away, drink, smoke, take a pill, do this, watch that. So in the absence of skill, we suppress, distract, deflect. Does that make sense? In order to achieve your goals, you're going to have to get better at managing emotions and feelings, because the circuits that are turning them on or off are not your enemy. They're nothing more than a circuit like what happens if you're driving your car and a light pops up on your dash. You don't take a hammer and hit it. It's a signal. So I'm going to give you some tools of what's happening. So we are dealing, okay, with your Einstein brain and your Frankenstein brain. Your Frankenstein brain's focusing on, what if negative, your Einstein brain's imagination, what I want, what I'd like to happen. And we're dealing with survival, curiosity, and security and safety, putting our brakes on, taking inspired action. There's all of this possibility here. And nobody's ever really taught us how to manage these different parts of our brain. How do I activate Einstein? How do I become friends with my Frankenstein brain that's there to protect me, which is one of the most highly sensitive circuits that's been developing for 2 million years to keep you safe, to move you away from pain or discomfort. And so achieving your goals, earlier we start off with vision, goals, and why. That's setting goals. But achieving goals requires managing your emotions, self-image, managing your fears, and developing empowering habits that match your goals. Are you with me so far? If you don't focus on what I'm about to share with you, here's what I would probably bet you $100. More of the same is what you will achieve. So my newest book, which is something I want to share with you. I'm going to share with you what these things are. You want to start to develop some powerful habits and rituals. And I developed this body of work. And I'm going to show you these things right now of how to do them, called Innercise. So you exercise for your body to strengthen your muscles and organs. But have you ever thought about innercising to manage your emotions, to manage your focus, to manage your awareness, to manage your attention, to manage your feelings? So Innercise, number one, that I want to teach all of you is based on the nervous system of your brain. Whenever you and I have doubt, have fear, have anxiety or stress, does that not mean that if we feel that something triggered it in our subconscious mind? It released cortisol, epinephrine, or norepinephrine, the stress hormones, the fear hormones, the anxiety hormones, the uncertainty stress neurotransmitters. And the feeling isn't what should bother us. Because if we don't deactivate that circuit, it actually reinforces itself and becomes more and more and more prevalent and stronger. So a simple Innercise to learn that I do every hour at least of every day is called Take 6, Calm the Circuits. So Take 6, Calm the Circuits, and I'd love you all to do this with me. I want you to take a deep breath, but hold on, not yet. as slowly as you can in through your nose. And I want you to take your attention and I want you to focus on the airflow right here where your nostrils are, and breathe in slowly, 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 slowly. No hurry. And when you get to the top, take another little breath in, expand your lungs even more, hold it for 1, 2, 3 seconds. And when you release it, I want you to release it as slowly as you can out through your mouth. But I want you to imagine you have a straw in your mouth and the air is going to come out through the straw as slowly as you can. And as you do this, I want you to just keep doing it. Slow in, slow out. You have a straw in your mouth, breathe it out. I want you to say this: I breathe in confidence. I breathe out stress. I breathe in certainty. I breathe out anxiety. I breathe in, choose any word you want, and breathe out anything you want to release. Now, here's what I can show you. In fMRI machines, where it takes brain scans of your brain, while you're doing these take 6 calm the circuits, we can see circuit A, sympathetic nervous system, deactivating the reactive stress circuit, deactivating sympathetic nervous system, and the parasympathetic nervous system activating, and you get calmer and less stressed. In the sympathetic nervous system, where you're stressed out, Einstein brain's activated. And guess what you need in order to achieve your goals? I'm sorry, Frankenstein brain's activated. What you need is more Einstein brain. So the first exercise that I want you to practice, I have on my mobile phone, I set up timers for it to go off so I could do a little bit of exercise to create the habit of being calm so I can respond. Can all of you do that? It'll take you 90 seconds to be able to do that. That's exercise number 1. After you do exercise number 1, I want you to do exercise number 2, and it's called Aya, awareness, intention, action. So in a calm, relaxed state, I want you to be aware of the thoughts, emotions, feelings, sensations, and your behaviors over the last 20, 30, 40 minutes. Were you positive? Were you behaving constructively or destructively? Were you productive or just busy? Now, when you do the Aya exercise, you must do it without judgment, blame, shame, guilt, or justification. No judgment, blame, shame, guilt, or justification. Why? Because what you want to do is activate higher cortical functions, Einstein, to observe patterns that are habitual. And when we are aware of the thoughts, emotions, feelings, sensations, behaviors, then we can say, okay, what's my intention for the next hour? My intention is to be focused. My intention is to get these 3 things done. My intention is to be highly productive. My intention is to be positive. My intention is to be happy. Whatever your intention is, you set the intention. So awareness gives you choice. Choice gives you freedom. So now with an intention, I am deliberately focusing my energy, brain, and attention, right? And then what is one small action step towards what you want? Not 10 action steps, 1. Why do we want to do this? Well, number 1 is if we take the breaths in this fashion, we reset our own brain to reduce any tension, stress, anxiety, worry, fear, whatever the case is. If we do exercise number 2, now we're operating from a higher cortical function of awareness called mindfulness, being aware without judgment and labeling. And now we can start the change process. Now, what if I told you that if you did this for 66 to 365 days, this will take you less than 5 minutes to do. You would change your brain. You would actually rewire your brain. You would actually create a habit loop that would actually do this automatically for you all day long. Why? You remember the third reason the brain, or how the brain operates, conservation of energy. Anything that you invest energy and attention on repeatedly, your brain says, okay, let me automate this through a process called automaticity so you don't have to think about it anymore. Now you're operating from a state of calmness. Now you are being deliberate, and now you can make small little adjustments, just like an airplane makes when it leaves one destination to another one. Now, when you have your vision and goals and your big why, now your Einstein brain can take over and help you keep the direction and movement going forward. Is this helpful so far? I got lots more. Okay. So then we have the flip-flop actor studio. And I want to ask you all a question. John, am I okay on time with you?
All right, at your leisure. So whenever you, yeah, we're loving it. So keep going, please.
Andrea, you're just going to need to change Alan by 15 minutes. So now that you are aware that you have a brain, you have emotions, you have feelings, circuits turning on and off. Some circuits are constructive, some are destructive, some move you forward, some stop you. They're your circuits, your brain, your emotions, etc. Now, let me ask you a question. If a Hollywood producer, your favorite either producer or actor or actress, tapped you on the shoulder somewhere in your town, said to you, hey, Maxwell, hey, Kathy, hey, Irma, Maria, John, you look like an amazing person for a role that I just created, and I'll pay you $1 million, $1 million if you learn this role. It's just one page, but you have to remember it. And you have to get in front of a camera and teach. And I'll give you the instruction. I'll give you all the coaching you want. And part of the goal here is you need to get really freaking mad, okay? And then in the next segment, that's so funny. What the hell are you doing? That's crazy. And you go, oh my God, I can't believe it. Could you change your emotions on demand if $1 million was on the line for you to learn how to do that? Could you go from angry to sad to happy to mad to whatever emotion you needed? Could you do it if you wanted to? That means you are not your emotions. You have emotions that are triggered, you have feelings, and if you chose, you could get better at managing your feelings, your state, and your emotions. So stop telling me you're a victim of your emotions, and stop telling yourself that he did this, that's why I feel this way. She did that, or he didn't do that, or I didn't do it, or I'm so upset because of the past. Stop it. You're not your feelings or emotions. You have more control over them. Get over it. Start taking better control of your $100 billion biocomputer. Change your physiology. Go for a walk. Now, what if I also told you one of the biggest parts of your brain that you want to activate is right over here? So as your eyes allow light through them, you're activating one of your biggest parts of your brain called the occipital lobe. And that occipital lobe, if you can start mentally rehearsing your new vision, your new goals, how it feels, who you're helping, and your lifestyle, what if I shared with you that if you just did that every morning for 2 or 3 minutes, and maybe in the evening as well? What if I told you that by closing your eyes or keeping your eyes open and maybe reading a new story, a new image, your goals, a new feeling, an emotion, a new identity, a new self-image? What if I told you, just like a Hollywood actor or actress would need to practice and rehearse a new role every day until it became part of who they are, so they don't need the notes anymore, they could play the role on demand? What if I told you that if you did the I see me exercise, I see me living, having, doing, being, giving, feeling, write it out, and every day you read it, every day you visualize it, every day you listen to it, because you're going to record it on your mobile phone, but you're not going to do it 1 time or 2 times or 3 times. Amateur people do it until they get it right once or twice. Pros do it until they can't get it wrong. You have to create a new neural pattern that is greater than your current neural pattern called your conditioned mind. So all the latest research shows 66 days to 365 days, not 21, not 16, not 42. If you are committed, which every one of you said you were 52 minutes ago, this is the process of developing new neural networks and pathways, not conscious ones, subconscious ones that drive the majority of your behavior. So when you do what I just shared with you, you now create neural coherence between your conscious mind and your non-conscious mind. When we have dissonance or chaos, there's a disconnect between the vision, the goals, the beliefs, the habits, the self-image. But what this process will do through Intersize is create coherence so that you are in harmony, you are in flow, you are stressing less. It's effort less, resistance less. Is this making sense? This is the real stuff. So how are you going to do that? You're going to prime your brain daily. You are going to read, feel your vision, goals, affirmations, declarations, promises, whatever, every day, like a professional athlete practices, like somebody wants to learn the Rubik's Cube practices, like a yo-yo champ practices, like a knitting champion, chess champion practices. You are going to practice like a Hollywood actor or actress developing a new script, a new story, a new identity, new beliefs that match the vision and goals that you have. You are going to see, imagine, and feel yourself making progress a little bit every day. You're going to take small action steps. Many of you that saw me in the movie The Secret, you know, I talk about the vision boards. With the law of attraction, there's also the law of Goya, G-O-Y-A. Somebody type that in the chat. The law of Goya is the get off your ass law, okay, that goes with the law of attraction, which the last 6 letters are action. No action, you ain't going to achieve your goals. Small little steps every day. Then you create and review any supporting visuals you need. This is where a vision board comes in. This is where anything that you can activate that occipital lobe tied to your emotional center, tied to your Einstein brain, any supporting visuals. On my vision board, I have my favorite color, purple. I have my favorite number, 14. I have my favorite scent, lemongrass. I have all of these supporting neural network actions and associations to give me that motivation and that pattern activation, right? So you create a supporting material. You create, read, feel your new life story, right? Create a new story like a Hollywood script, and then you start to become that story. And then get into an accountability partnership with a person or a group. My sons and I, one of my sons said, hey, Papa, I want to not drink alcohol for the next 100 days. I said, great. 7 o'clock every day, you're texting me that you're good. So he's on like day 14 now because he started before Christmas, and he hasn't had a drink in 14 days because he was drinking a little too much at 25. And so he wants 100 days of not doing that. So I am his accountability partner. And it's as simple as one little text. Hey, Papa, I'm good. Day 14, day 15, day 16. Small little habits lead to bigger empowered habits. So retrain your brain with Intersize, right? So every day, just like you exercise your body, why not a little bit of time to Intersize your $100 billion brain? If you invest a little bit of time to wire and reinforce constructive, empowering, positive patterns in your brain, they go from conscious effort to subconscious conditioning, which becomes effortless. It's called automaticity. So I'm giving you some of the instruction manual for your brain of what to do and how to do it. And so you can use a variety of different techniques and tools, whether it's cognitive priming exercises like I just showed you, including precision affirmations, declarations, mental contrasting training, which basically says, here's my life now, my circumstance now, my trauma now, my result now, but here is what I want it to be. Just doing that, now or old and new. Brain stimulation technology is just a variety of different, whether it's mindfulness apps, meditations, technology to create the right brainwave state. Cognitive dissonance reduction is reducing that tension between the old self and new. And you can use guided visualizations, guided meditations, behavior modification techniques, of which I've shown you several really core powerful ones. So there's no shortage of what you can do, right? And so when you take your conscious vision, goals, and why, and you add empowering beliefs, you manage your emotions, you augment your hidden self-image, and you develop new habits, this is the formula for predictable transformation and goal achievement. I'm going to end with this. In life, you're either going to pay the price of discipline or the price of regret. Discipline weighs ounces, regret weighs tons. That's a Jim Rohn quote. And so my question for you is, which discipline do you prefer to master? Mastering disappointment and your comfort zone, or mastering change like I just shared with you? I hope this has been worthwhile. I know I'm a little bit over time.
Oh, no, John, you can go all day. I know you can't see the chat box, but they are loving this and we so appreciate it. Thank you for going over.
Yeah. And just so you know, in order to do what I shared with you, it's easy to understand it.
Yep.
But unless you are committed, you will not do it. Period. End of story. Yes. So you have to make yourself a promise that this time, right now, is my time to rise. This time is my time to let go of my stories, my reasons, my excuses, my whatever you have to let go of, and I will do this no matter what. Here's what I can promise you. Do what I just shared, and the world will be your oyster. You can pick any goal: health, wealth, relationships, career, business, finances, charity, and you'll be able to achieve them. And that's what I want for you. So
that's awesome, John. Where can they go to get Innersights, John, and more stuff about you?
If you want to pick up my books, any one of my books, Innersights is a great one on Amazon. It's like $12, $14. My book on goal setting and goal achieving is Having It All. My book on business growth, New York Times bestseller, also is The Answer. Go to my company, myneurogym.com. I don't think I have, myneurogym.com is my company. We focus on the research. We focus on creating brain training programs so that we have all the programs for winning game of money and fear and procrastination and weight loss and business. What I just shared with you is the do it yourself model. We also have all of the audio programs and trainings to do it with you. So go to myneurogym.com, take a look at that. And then I'm all over social media. Yes, and love to share, love to learn, love to share, and love to see people achieve results.
So grateful for you, John. Thank you for your time. And Andrea, thanks, your assistant, John. She's phenomenal. And really such a pleasure, such a treat. You guys, you heard it. And recording will go out to all you guys. Thanks so much. Thank you, John.
By the way, John, Andrea asked if you can say that again.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Andrea. You were phenomenal.
Bye. Thank you.
Good night. Good night, everyone. I'll send out the recording. Bye.